Good afternoon, students. Welcome back. This is Anshoo Sharma from Government College, Jaksu. And today we'll be doing the fifth and the final stanza of the Ode to West Wind. And in the earlier video, I had done the fourth stanza and I had talked about how the poet talks about his youth and compares the present times with the past and requests the west wind to have the same influence, same kind of effect that the west wind has been exercising over the whole of earth, over the land, the sky, and the waters, over the oceans. So the first, the second, and the third stanzas and the fourth have been done already, and today I shall be doing the fifth stanza. Here it's there on your screens now. I'll just quickly read through it. Make me thy lyre, even as the forest is. What if my leaves are falling like its own? The tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone, sweet though in sadness. Be thou, spirit fierce, my spirit. Be thou me, impetuous one. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth. And by the incantation of this verse, scatter as from an unextinguished hearth ashes and sparks, my words among mankind. Be through my lips to unawakened earth the trumpet of a prophecy. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? So you can see that in this last passage, it's the culmination of the poem, and there is a kind of again you can there are basically two things that you can be noted here, that like in the fourth stanza, in this fifth stanza also, the poet is drawing certain comparisons and he is requesting the west wind to bring about a miraculous change. He wants the west wind to be the vehicle, to be the uh, you know the power for him to bring about a certain change in this world, to scatter his ideas throughout this world. And he is drawing certain comparisons. He's talking about hope, and he is very as far as the future is concerned, he thinks that it is going to be a brighter one if the west wind supports him. So again, you can see that the difficult words I have already underlined, and I'll take them up as I go through this stanza. Make me thy lyre. What is a lyre? Lyre is a wind harp. And he's drawing again, he's requesting the west wind to make him a wind harp, to play upon him, just like it plays upon this musical instrument, the lyre. And even as the forest is, and just as the forest bends to the tune of the west wind, just as the forest bends to the music of the west wind, similarly I should also be played upon by the west wind as if I am a wind harp. And he says, what happens? It does not matter that my leaves are also falling. Like my energies are also down at the moment. My leaves are also falling, just as the leaves of the forest are falling. He says, but how does that matter? He's requesting the west wind to make him into a musical instrument, your musical instrument, just as the forest is when you blow through it. The forest has a music of its own. When the wind is going through the leaves, there is a certain sound. You can see that, that murmuring sound can be heard. So the forest has its music when the west wind blows over it. And he says, what if my leaves are also falling like the leaves of the forest? He says, the powerful music that you have, the powerful music will bring about a deep autumnal music out of both me as well as the forest. That is the effect that you're going to have over me, as just as the effect that you have over the forest. And he says, the tumult of thy mighty harmonies. Now, here, this line is very interesting because on one hand, he is using the word tumult. What is tumult? Something that is, there is topsy turvy, something that is, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of chaos. It's something that is tumultuous, something that is moving with a lot of speed. It is bringing about, it is turning the whole world upside down. So on one hand, he uses the word tumult, and at the same time, in the same line, he talks about the mighty harmony of music, the harmony that is the effect of the beautiful music, the resounding, the overpowering music of the west wind. So he's using these adjectives, and he's kind of drawing a comparison, he's drawing a contrast. He calls the music tumultuous, calls the music of the west wind mighty, and he calls the music of the west wind harmonious. Harmonious is something that sets everything straight, that sets everything into a pleasant music, into a tuneful, you can say, music. So he says that you have a music of your own, and you will take up, he's talking about the autumn, because it is the autumn season in which the west wind blows. So he says that your music is powerful, and it brings about a deep autumnal music out of both me and the forest, and it is very beautiful even though it is sad. So he says that you will take from both a deep autumnal tone. Deep autumnal tone, here deep means somber, here deep means serious. Okay. And he says that this music is very sweet, though it is sad. Now, why is the music sad? Because it is it's a kind of the dirge of the dying year, these words have been used earlier. It's because the sweetness is there, but at the same time, because it is talking about the end of a season, it is talking about the end of a certain life span, it is talking about the end of the year, beginning of winter. Okay. So therefore there is a certain sadness, because a certain phase, a certain time is going to come to an end. But at the same time, the music is sweet, it is soulful, it is beautiful. And he says, be thou spirit fierce. What is fierce? Fierce is something that is powerful, that is forceful. And he says that your spirit is very powerful, your spirit is very forceful. And he says that you become my spirit. Why my spirit? My spirit. And you can see there's an exclamation mark here. Now he is kind of trying to emphasize, he's trying to kind of force the west wind to become his own spirit. Rather, you can say that he's trying to say that whatever power that you have, please transfer it on to me. Be thou me, impetuous one. Again, exclamation mark. He says, you impetuous one, you uncontrollable one, you who has a lot of power, who's impulsive, who's very rash, you become me. Or what does it mean? You transfer that power onto me, because at this particular point of time, I am powerless, I am weak, and I need whatever energy I can get. I need all the power that I can get. And at the moment, I only look up to you. I think it is you and you alone who can give me that power, who can share that power, because you yourself are powerful, you yourself are uncontrollable, and your energies can be transferred to me. Therefore, I am requesting you that please transfer the power, the energy to me. And your unruly soul, you should become my soul. You should become me, you unpredictable creature. And what will you do when you become me? You will scatter my dead thoughts across the universe, drive my dead thoughts over the universe. That is, scatter, spread my thoughts, spread my ideas over this world like withered leaves to quicken a new birth. Like withered leaves, again this is a repetition of the imagery that we have seen earlier, because the leaves are dead and they are taken away, and with this removal of these dead leaves, very soon the new birth, the new regeneration is going to take place. And he says that my ideas, my thoughts, whatever radical ideas, or whatever hopeful ideas and spirited ideas that I have, the thoughts that I have, they can be spread over this world only by you. And you can spread it throughout. And by the incantation of this verse, incantation is something that is used when we talk about magic. This is a terminology that is specifically used when you talk about magic. So he says the magic spell or the magical charm of my music, the magical charm of my poetry, the magical charm of this particular verse, this particular poem that I'm writing. Through this, my ideas can be spread over this world. And this particular poem, the ideas that are contained in this poem, the ideas that are contained in this verse, they are magical, they are beautiful. And if they are spread over the world, I believe, I am very confident that this world will be created into a new leaf. It will be, a creation of a new world. And he says that scatter as from an unextinguished hearth. What is unextinguished? Unextinguished, that is, still burning, where sparks are still there. You must have noticed that very often when you burn a wood, in the beginning there's a lot of fire, but slowly the fire dies out. As the wood starts burning with passing time, the bright fire, it dies down, but you have those burning embers, you have that coal which still has certain spark in it. And if there's a wind, if you blow upon those coals, small sparks, they fly up. So that is the imagery that the poet is trying to draw here. And he says that from that unextinguished hearth. Now, this unextinguished hearth is the poet himself. He is not dead at the moment. His ideas are not dead at the moment. There is a spark within him. Though that spark is quietened down. The burning fire is not there, but the sparks still exist. And if you blow upon them, if you just give them a little wind, they are going to brighten up. They are going to scatter. They are going to come up in the air. So that imagery is being drawn here. That idea is being used here. And he says that fire can be scattered. And the ashes and sparks, my words among the mankind. Just as the ashes and the sparks of the fire fly up, similarly, my words will be spread amongst the mankind through the spread of this verse, through the spread of this poem, and be through my lips to unawakened earth. Why unawakened? Because at this point of time, the earth is sleeping. It is kind of dead. But through my lips, when my ideas are spread over this earth, then this earth is going to become brighter, alive once more. So he says that the fire, this poem, let this poem be a prayer that scatters the ashes and the sparks, as though from a fire that someone forgot to put out. And let these ideas be spread throughout the human race. You speak through me, and in that way turn my words into a prediction of the future. So he says that this poem is going to talk about hope. This poem is going to talk about a brighter future. And through me, My words, I am unable to, spread my word. I don't have that kind of power. I am kind of helpless at the moment. But whatever ideas I have, whatever thoughts I have, they are pretty bright. They have a spark in them. And it is you who can, light up this fire once again. You can spread those ashes, you can spread those sparks throughout this world, and they can predict a better future. They can predict a brighter future for this mankind. And he says, in the concluding words, in the concluding lines, he says, "O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind?" So, this concluding line is very hopeful, it is positive, and he says, he's addressing the wind, and he says, "Oh, wind, if winter is on its way, isn't spring going to follow also?" Because it is, if autumn is here, then soon winter is going to come, and if winter is going to come, then finally spring is also going to arrive. So new birth, new life is just around the corner. And as soon as my ideas are spread over this whole world, the mankind is made aware of my ideas, then the utopian, the ideal world, the powerful, a world will once again be created. So this is talking about poetry and rebirth. This poem is going to become a means of rebirth. This poem, these verses of mine are going to be resulting in a rebirth. And who's going to help me in this rebirth? Who's going to help me in this regeneration? It is you, the west wind, who is going to help me regenerate, who's going to help me, spread my ideas. And Shelley, you can see I have noted here, you can read it. Shelley refers to the opening of the book of Revelation of Saint John, the divine in the Bible. You must have seen that most of the English poets, they very often take references from the Bible. Okay, and here again, the trumpet of prophecy, this is reference to the same. So you can see that throughout the Ode to West Wind, the poet is praising and celebrating the power of the West Wind. And he considers the West Wind to be both destructive, to be chaotic, and yet at the same time, this destruction is necessary for both renewal and rebirth. And he says the speaker is kind of admiring the wind, and he wants to adopt, or you can say he wants to absorb the west wind's power into his poetry, because his poetry also does not lack ideas. There are no dearth of ideas, then there's no dearth of concept. But at the moment, he's kind of, not finding enough power to spread it around, and he needs the power of the west wind to spread his ideas, to spread his verses across this world, across mankind. And the speaker, you can see in the last two stanzas, in the fourth and the fifth stanza, he describes himself as a diminished person. He's chained, he's bowed. By whom? By life, by the difficulties that he's facing, or the problems that he's facing, or the toughness that he's facing, the troubles that he's facing in the life, in his life, that is having this kind of effect on him. That is what is chaining him, that is what is bowing him, that is what is constraining him. And far from the condemning and the destructive power of the wind, the speaker hopes that the west wind will revive him, will make him powerful once more. And at different points of time, at different points in the poem itself, the speaker has different ideas of what this might look like. Most simply, the wind simply becomes the speaker, or becomes part of him. Or, as he says, that you become me, be thou me. This is what the speaker is requesting from the wind, that you become me. And the speaker also proposes a more complicated interaction between himself and the wind. At one point, he asks the wind that you make me your lyre, just as you have made the forest your wind harp. There is music when you blow through the forest. Similarly, you use me, you also convert me into a musical instrument. And in other words, he wants to be Specifically, he wants to become this lyre, the musical instrument that the poets traditionally play while they perform their poems. So he says, you make me a harp, you make me a wind lyre. And in this scheme, the speaker helps the wind. He's like a musical accompaniment to the west wind. The speaker doesn't take an active role, but it is the wind that takes up the active role. These roles are later on reinforced when the speaker imagines that the wind is driving his dead thoughts over the universe. And it certainly seems that the west wind is doing the real work, because it is the west wind that is promoting his ideas. It is the west wind, that is carrying his ideas forward and spreading his verses all over the world. And the speaker, what does the speaker want to do? What does the poet want to do? What does Shelley want to do here? He wants to help the west wind because he wants to create something new, to clear away the old and the dead. That is what Shelley wants. And under the west wind's influence, his dead thoughts will quicken a new birth. They will create something living. That is, they'll create something new. The speaker doesn't say exactly what that new thing he hopes to create, but something that is better, something that is brighter. It just might be a new kind of poetry, or it might be a new society, it might be a new world. And many readers have interpreted the poem as a call for a political change. In the introduction, I had mentioned this, that Shelley did have some radical ideas, and he did have a desire for a political change. He did want a utopian world to be created. And either way, you can say for the speaker that newness cannot be achieved through compromise with the old and the dead. The old and the dead has to go away. And only then can something new emerge out of it. Only while we clean, while we, bring about a cleansing destruction that the west wind brings over the land, over the earth, over the waters, over the skies, a similar cleansing is to be brought about in this world of ideas of the poet, in this world, the political scenario that we have as of now. That needs to be changed, that needs to be cleansed. A new world needs to be created. So this is what Shelley is trying to convey through the concept of the west wind and its effect over us, over this earth, which is going to finally bring a kind of redemption, which is finally going to. So I'm ending here. This is the fifth and the final stanza. I hope what the poet is trying to convey is clear to you. Please go through these three or four videos together in one go, one after the other, to make complete sense. I had to make these, because of time constraint and space constraint, I had to divide this poem into parts. This is the fifth and the final stanza that I have explained to you. I'll share further notes, further details of structure and the form of the poem. I'll share that as PDF notes with you. Meanwhile, please go through the video. And once again, thank you for your patient listening. Have a good day. Bye bye.